rocpodcasts.com.
Eric Radio. All right, I got two of them for you tonight. You tell me which one you like better. There are more people in prison in the United States than there are working on farms, or Ford's first car was flex fuel.
I don't like either of those.
It's a goddamn joke. It's quid pro quo de facto. This democracy's a hoax. Stacy says, man, it's time to act. Keep your wallet where your heart is. We can take the power back. So go get a bowl, a spoon, and some cereal, and sit your ass down. It's time for Eric Radio.
Well, hello, sweet bitches. It is the 5th day. No, I'm sorry. It is the 5th month of the 12th day havingness on the 14th year. This is why I don't do this, because I don't know how to say the date. Welcome to Eric Radio. I'm Stacy.
And I'm Corey.
And we are recording from the reactivated Hideaway Brewery Studios. Hideaway Brewery. Fake radio doing real news for real beer. How are you, Corey?
Right. I'm terrible.
You're terrible?
I'm terrible.
Why are you terrible?
Because that felt awful.
Oh, it was awful. It was super awful.
That felt awful.
Welcome to Season 2, guys. It's nice to see everybody here in podcast land.
Podcast land?
Yeah, that's where we record from. That's where the Hideaway Brewery Studios is.
In podcast
In
land.
podcast land.
All right, fair enough. I'll buy
Yeah.
it. Okay, whatever.
Sure.
Sure. So, exciting, fun-filled show we have, isn't it, Stace?
It is at least a show. It may be exciting, and I'm sure at least somebody will have some fun. Corey, I have a story to tell you.
All right, I'm all ears.
So this weekend, we built a garden. It's a nice garden.
Oh, so then my all ears was a potato joke.
Ha
See how
ha
that
ha!
worked
Oh,
in
good
retro?
tie-in. Wow, you were ahead of things there. It's very nice. So we built a garden, and I got to spend a lot of time at two stores, Lowe's and Growmore Farms. Corey, where do you think I enjoyed my customer service experience more?
Growmore Farms.
Correct. Oh my God, the people that cut wood at Lowe's are mentally. They cut wood at Lowe's. I don't want to be. I don't want. I don't know about capable. So this dude, Corey, I built square foot beds and gardens, square foot gardens, and what that is it's a 4x4, 4 feet by 4 feet box garden on the ground, and each square foot gets one kind of plant, however many will fit in that area. So I needed to buy some wood to make this out of. I bought some 2x8s, and they only come at Lowe's in 16-foot lengths. So I needed them cut down to 4. Mm-hmm. And the dude that cuts it, right? This is the thing. Corey, how long is a 16-foot board in real life?
15 3/4.
Sometimes 16 2 inches. Yeah, it's never 16 feet. I know that, and I don't know shit about wood.
I mean, 16 feet and 2 inches would be a little bit of an exaggeration.
This was about 16 feet and 2 inches, as it happens.
They have terrible wood, then.
They
They have terrible wood.
You're probably right,
I know. I know. I've never had to trim 2 inches off a deck board before.
So I go to the saw guy, and I tell him I need this cut into 4-foot sections. So he cuts one. I'm sorry. Let me take this back so you can experience my full frustration. So he measures 16 inches off of one end, or I'm sorry, 4 feet off of one end.
Okay.
Marks it.
Uh-huh.
Slides the board. Cuts the board. Measures 4 feet off the next section.
Okay.
Marks it, slides
Still fine.
it, cuts it.
Still fine.
Fuck that. Listen, dude.
You don't have to worry about, but see, that's because I have experience. You don't have to worry about that till the last board. If it's 16 and 2 inches, and you start the boards at 4 foot, you can cut the first 3 boards, and then the last board you just double check and it'll be 2 inches long. You cut it again.
I got a better idea. How about you lay the tape measure out, mark 4 feet, continue going, mark the next 4 feet, continue going, mark the next 4 feet, do your marking all at once so you're not like standing up and getting the tape measurer again and bending back down and it was ridiculous to see this guy. I mean, he was like the opposite of work smarter, not harder.
If you were to watch a woodworking training video, they would actually tell you to do it the other way.
I don't watch videos.
Because tape
About
measures wander up and down while you pull them out.
Yeah.
And that variance in length can actually give you mismarkings by the time you get down to a 16.
So what you're telling me is that rather than a retard, this guy was actually a rocket scientist?
No. Because the last board he should have checked.
He hands me
trimmed.
he just handed it to me, and I was like, homie. And I stood it up next to one of the ones that was 4 feet. I was like, do you see a problem? Like, you got to cut that, dude. I'm paying for cuts. I should have just had him cut it twice and come home and cut it myself. The only reason I had him cut it at all is because 16 foot's a little much for my truck.
And you thought it'd be nice and simple if you just cut it all for me.
Also that, like, hello.
Now I'm putting an erector set together.
So the first day I went and got 4 boards, and the guy that worked that day, so there's a dude with like a house load of lumber. He must have been building an addition or some shit. And he's got like 7 or 8 pieces of wood that he needs cut to various different lengths, different kinds of wood, different everything. And I have one 16-foot plank that I need cut. And the dude doing the cuts knows that. Doesn't he do the other dude's stuff first?
Well,
I needed 3 cuts. I didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Went to Grow More Farms, though, for the plants and the dirt and stuff. Holy helpful. That place, do business there.
With the kid that didn't do yours first because you had less cuts.
Significantly less cuts.
All he was doing
And
was
a child
exactly
with me.
what that training video they told him to cut the boards told him to do. And that was first come, first serve. Next customer up gets the service. He wasn't going to think past that training video.
Guess how much I'm
in
never
order to
buying.
solve that. And do you know why?
I'm never going to buy lumber from Lowe's again, Corey. So fuck their video.
And do you know why? They're just trying to cookie cutter it out. That kid gets paid $9 an hour to use his head. He gets paid $9 an hour to follow the training. If they paid him $13 an hour, he'd probably even try to use his head, even if he wasn't capable, and then he'd move on to a job that doesn't require you to use your head. I bet you the people at Gromar Farms who live and breathe this get paid a little bit better money, or at least have better rewards to their jobs.
I'll tell you.
And that's why you get better customer service.
I think even like the basis level employee at Gromar Farms seemed very happy to be there. It was really like it was a cool shopping experience at Gromar Farms. Man, I walked in. I don't know, Corey, I don't know if you know this about me. I don't know a goddamn thing about gardening.
I did know that about you, but the listeners didn't.
I know that you put seeds in the ground, and if you're lucky, it'll make a plant. And if you're super lucky, it'll make something you can harvest a yield from.
That's not exactly. I mean, it sounds like that's how that should work. But you need a little more work in there, buddy.
You need a little more knowledge than that. How deep do you plant the seeds? How far apart do you space the seeds? When do you plant the seeds is something that they should teach you in school in senior, like every year. They should progress that knowledge in students.
Even as far as water ratios, you got to know how much it drained versus how much they need,
Right.
and how often. And you should be using peat moss in your soil because it holds water longer.
A good rule of thumb, to interject real quick, because you asked, well, you didn't ask, but you said, you do need to know how to tell how much water you need. A good rule of thumb for that, stick your finger down in the soil about 2 inches. If it feels damp at the tip of your finger, you're good. If it doesn't, you need to water. You should water before it stops feeling damp. But you'll catch on, I imagine.
Hey, but you got to be careful because some plants, if you overwater them even a little bit, they can grow.
Yep. Well, I just wanted to say because I didn't know, and I didn't know where to look, and now I know. And I don't want to just say things that people should know and not tell them. That seems mean. You people should know this shit, dummies.
So, Town Supervisor Moore has provided you with yet another service as a tax.
Yeah, Jack Moore owns Crowmar Farms, operates Crowmar Farms, and his business is terrific. It's
Yes.
you know what? I mean, it was super sunny both days, and everybody was in there looking all happy. Like even the customers were all happy because it was the first super beautiful
It's
weekend.
gardening week. Absolutely, it's
Yeah.
gardening week.
So I'm buying seeds, right? But I don't know how many seeds are in a bag or how many seeds it takes to fill 316 square. I have no idea, Corey. None whatsoever. So I have like a pack of seeds. Like my arms are full of seeds.
Whoa, buddy, whoa.
And the lady at the they have a little help desk there to help you with your gardening questions.
She's like, are you buying a farm?
She was like, how you doing over there? And I was like, I don't know. Why don't you ask me that in a month or 4? She says, well, let me know if you have any questions. I was like, well,
Since you asked.
as a matter of fact, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Did you just rapid fire questions at her forehead? How do I do this? How do I do that?
No,
How do I do this?
She
How do I do that?
she got the idea really quick that I didn't know what I was. She was like, well, how much land are you planting out? And I was like, 316 square foot gardens.
She giggled.
She goes, you have way too much. Let me see what you got there. And she starts going through my seeds. She goes, nope. Buy this as a plant. You don't need 3 of these. You don't. It took her about 15 minutes to get it all sorted out. But
and
now
by the
I
end
have,
of it, you bought 10 packets.
Yes. Yeah, by the end, I only had 10 instead of a whole armload. And I had a whole bunch of already started plants. It turns out it's too late to start seeds
Yeah.
for some plants.
For some plants.
Tomatoes and such.
Yeah, it's easiest for some plants to start germinating them inside because we
Yeah.
have such unpredictable springs.
Right. If you get a frost, you're boned.
Exactly.
Lettuce, on the other hand. Lettuce, you grow several times through the year.
Oh, yeah, they get 3-4 yields off that
You
thing.
start it before you're ready to harvest the one you got.
Yeah.
And then you get a continual harvest of lettuce. Didn't know that about
Sea
lettuce.
of green.
I thought that the way to make lettuce stretch was to peel leaves off the outside because the lettuce grows from the inside out like a tree, and it would just keep perpetuating.
I have not heard that.
I had, but I mean, that's not what the lady at Gromar Farm said. Her name was Lori. She was very helpful.
That
Folks,
she said let it grow because it's already figured it out on its own?
No. She said you just plant these throughout the year and they just keep growing because they only have like a 23-day from seed to.
Yeah.
It's like fast, apparently. Didn't know. Had no idea lettuce was a fast food. Yeah, like not that kind of fast food.
And it has a virtually negative calorie count.
Although it
because
is it's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water, and it's only got like 4 calories, I think it is. But the action of chewing and digesting it actually burns more calories than it provides.
But it makes you poop good
Yes.
and healthily.
Yes, unless you have Fisher's disorder, is that what it's called?
I
Then
have-
it makes you go, ow.
I don't have a clue what that is.
You get Fisher's in your colon, and it goes, ow.
Well, that sucks a butt.
I bet you that'd be much
literally.
more soothing.
So,
Took a second to sink in there, didn't it, buddy?
so I built the gardens and I got everything all planted, and I did what every American person does with a computer. I took a picture and I posted it on Facebook. I took a picture of my garden and I posted it on Facebook. Did you see this?
Good for you. Yeah, I saw it. Good
Yeah?
for you. That's what you should do.
I wanted to talk about it.
And the grounds that you posted a picture to Facebook, or
We'll just dive
on
right
the
in.
grounds that you're losing your mind, like
So, one of my friends asked the completely appropriate question,
what are you growing?
what's in the mini gardens? And I say, food, tomatoes, lettuce, blah, 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 blah. The lady I used to rent this house from and then bought this house from.
Oh, this is okay. Now I know where we're going. Now I'm following along.
She says...
And I'm on board.
This lady isn't my friend. She was my landlord. And then we bought the house from her, and she was not a very friendly seller. It was all my lawyer says, my lawyer says, my lawyer says. It just was not a very friendly deal. It wasn't an unfair deal. It wasn't a terrific deal on my end, but
First-time home buyer.
That's nobody's business but mine. Which brings me to what she said.
All right.
She says, I gave you $2,500 to seed the backyard, but it doesn't look like you used it for that. That $2,500, folks, was in the contract to buy the house. Like, it was a secession from her. Is that the right word?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It was money attached to the deal as like a discount on my end that would give me a check too, so that I could fix the hatchet job the guy she had put in a new septic tank left my backyard as. It was a disaster. It was a crater, you'll recall.
And you might have some defense that that's not actually your backyard, that is a service yard. There might be some defense. I don't know if there's a precedent against it in your town, but since it's clearly defined as a living space backyard, as a recreational space backyard, and what has a tool shed and a tractor and a garden,
right,
might make it farmland and might make it utility yard.
Oh, that'd be cool. Then I could pay higher property taxes.
But I'm saying
get corn subsidies.
If somebody tried to give you a problem about it, you might be able to get away with it by the fact that you're growing food.
Yeah.
In a different area than your recreational space.
So
clearly defined.
Yeah. You saw that area. $2,500 wasn't going to fix that. And the hole where the septic tank went in.
No.
The hole where the septic tank went in. That $2,500 was supposed to fix a quarter acre of just destroyed
you doing
property.
For that.
No. But that's not even the point. I have 2 points here for this woman.
One's above my shoulders and one's below my hips.
It's none of your fucking business what I do with my yard. I rented it from you, yeah, but then I bought it from you.
Yeah, the deed's in your name, right?
Yo, yeah, man.
Well,
yeah, no, she's got her money and I've got my mortgage. And she don't need to be piping in like I did something duplicitous. Like, that's
2 years ago?
That's not up to you. That money is an accountant for the state of things. There's nothing saying I have to apply it to that. Secondly, I did apply it to that, but it didn't make it the whole way.
Third of all, it's not perfect, but I see a grassy yard.
Yeah.
In that picture.
I see a garden. When somebody posts a picture of a garden they spent all weekend building with their family, the proper thing to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, is nothing at all. Mind your business, you uppity bitch. So I replied, I was trying to be... I did my very best to not be vulgar at all in my reply, but I wanted to be very clear. So you tell me if I accomplished that. Not that it's any of your business, but we did seed. It didn't take. It looked great for about 2 months, and then it died. How about the garbage job your hack-and-slash septic guy did? It didn't seem to bother you to charge full rent and leave us with a crater in our backyard for most of a year. This is my house, and if you don't like it, well, you know what they say about opinions. Sent that, and I didn't feel like that said enough, but I wanted to get something out there right now.
That I'm doing it for you, and it'll be the second time it has happened to add a person on Airrec Radio. This bitch is a cunt fucker.
I says, by the way, tagged your name here. You didn't give me anything. You cheap shot your way through a railroad deal and certainly got a very fair price for the house. Mention another bit of specifics about this deal, and you can expect to hear from my lawyer. She says, you know that I didn't like the job he did, but remember, the weather was very cold, rainy, etc. So playing outside was not really too much of a loss. I want to pause right there. First off, that's none of your business. That's not your decision to make. You don't get to decide when it's okay for my kids to go outside. Secondly, the yard was a crater for 8 months. Was it rainy and cold for 8 months 2 years ago?
I don't remember, but I do remember you used to have a lot more get-togethers, and you don't do that anymore.
We had an interloper. We don't have that anymore. We're getting back there. Don't worry. We're returning to normalcy someday.
What's that?
An interloper?
No, normalcy.
Oh, I don't know. She goes on to say, after she said that she didn't really think that it was too much of a loss that we didn't have our backyard for 8 months.
Yeah, I don't know that you're qualified to judge my loss.
Yeah, no, you're not. I certainly was fair with you folks, and I certainly like you guys. I don't care if you like me. I don't think you need to rail on me, she says. You started it, bitch. You started it. She goes on to say, let's just drop it. I'm glad you folks like the house. It has some really special memories for me and my sister and my children. And I hope I fucked those memories. I was pissed.
Hey, lady, I've jizzed in every room in this house. How does that make your memories feel, huh?
That's vulgar.
But you didn't deny it. So, moving on.
Then
Bitch.
she says, this was after my second...
She's a bitch.
Then she goes on to say, I think you need to back off, Stacy. I had no idea you had such a temper.
Okay, well...
I know.
Do a little bit of a temper,
You're
buddy.
not telling me nothing I don't know. I live with me. Dude, I know it. But I reply, you assault my integrity on a public wall over something that has nothing to do with you? Not one single thing I do is your concern. What sort of tacky, classless person talks like that in a room full of strangers? I have a temper? Well, maybe that's true, but at least I have some tact to go with it. Subsequently, she removed me as a friend and blocked me, which was exactly what I was about to do. But she beat me to the punch.
Damn it.
Like I got that last one in, send, went to...
Wow, that was...
it was supposed to be. Went to go and delete her as a friend and block her ass, and she beat me to the punch. But whatever. Who the fuck do you think you are, lady?
Birch.
You don't do that. Nobody asked you for your opinion on my garden that I built with my family all weekend. Like, Corey, when somebody says to you, man, I spent the whole weekend building a garden with my family, what do you think the appropriate response might be?
What'd you plant?
That's one.
How long did it take? How much it cost? If I didn't already know, could you show me how?
Even, well, good for you, or another acceptable answer is silence.
Maybe it's just training that I feel that asking a question is more engaging than just a simple compliment.
That's true.
It might just be a little bit training.
But I'm saying on a Facebook wall,
Good job.
to somebody you don't really know very
How about
well.
a like?
Yeah. How about a like? How about you just... Or...
Facebook has taught me that's equivalent to a thumbs up.
Yeah. Or if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. Nobody asked you to like it.
Move on.
I just couldn't believe the guff of this woman.
Would you have been happier if she just left a comment that said dislike? Dislike.
I would have been shocked. She is an old woman. I would be startled to see that she was quite so internet savvy.
You rickety old cheese pussy bitch.
Oh, don't say. Come on now. That's too much.
You didn't want it, I did it too.
That's too much. Obviously, Corey's talking about somebody else.
Yeah, okay. Like she's listening.
So I also got the...
You're allowed to insult people, just so you know, like legally.
I know, but I don't like to insult. You'll notice that in my whole angry diatribe, I only applied an insult as like a backhanded, what kind of tacky, classless person talks like that in a room full of strangers? Not, you're a tacky, classless person. Just, what kind of person does that? Oh, your kind of person.
You'll take to notice that I'm not the same person that you are. So I did it. And actually, it's kind of a dichotomy. Is that
dichotomy.
The word? Dichotomy? That's
it's
the word.
Definitely a dichotomy. Although, if we made it a verb, it'd be a duchotomy.
All right. This reminds me of a penis joke.
It does. This is not going in the direction I wanted it to. Hey,
but it's going perfectly for me, sir.
speaking of things that didn't go in the direction I wanted them to, I got the kayak out this weekend.
Was that a penis joke too?
No.
Hey, speaking of things that the kayak, the flotation, the single person flotation device with an oar.
Yes, that's the one. It's called a paddle.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. It's paddle because it has a fin on both sides.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. My bad.
The fin actually has a name that's not fin. Fin is something, and I don't know.
I
don't know what it is, and fin's probably perfect. I would call it the shovel.
Whatever.
Maybe I'd call it the plank end. I don't know.
Inconsequential.
Let's Google search it. Make people listen to it.
All right.
Folks, we are not going to do that at all.
Fuck no.
Not a chance. So I got the kayak in the water. I went to the river. I was going to dump it in the river, and but the river was just moving a little too quick for me to be like first time out. Like it wasn't like rapids or anything like that, but I wasn't sure if I could paddle against it because you don't know your abilities the first time in it.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's
Yeah.
your very first time in it.
Yeah, this is my second time in a kayak ever.
You should have rented a pool. Might have been a good idea to train a little bit.
Oh fuck no! I've been in a kayak once and I did well.
You don't just said like I'm going to start running. Sign me up for that marathon.
Do you know what I do for a living?
Yes, I do.
I wash cars for a living. I
Yes.
use a wash stick. This uses all the same muscles in very much the same ways. This is not a physical. I mean, it is a physical activity, but I'm not sore today.
No, I would have been more worried about training. Getting
the balance.
practice, the balance. You flip over, you figure out how to right yourself a couple times.
Fuck that! I'm not whitewater wrapped, and if I flip over, I'm good to panic. I'm set. I'm all good. I hate swimming in wild water. I hate it. Oh God, I hate it. It freaks me out, man. You're swimming and your foot hits something you can't see what it is. It's probably just a stick, but it might be a snapping turtle.
And I hate to sound like your mom. Not that I hate to sound like your mom.
That's mean.
But you know what I'm saying. I love your mom. What happens if you're doing poop, 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 poop? You're like, okay, I'm going to go over here and poop, 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 poop.
Corey is making a paddling motion, sort of.
Boop, 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 boop. And, a big friggin' boat comes whipping by you, creates a wake and flips you. Wouldn't it be at least nice? I mean, you could just stand up and then float to the surface. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to right yourself?
That's not really going to happen where I am.
All right. Well, you never know. A year from now, you'll get adventurous. Try to go a little bigger water.
Oh, sure. And a year from now, you know what I'll need to worry about that? When it happens.
All right, fair enough.
I have tethers on my fishing poles. I got a tether on my oar. I got everything's tethered and tied down. My phone's in a waterproof. I'm good to roll over. It's okay.
What about the things that breathe oxygen? Are those going to be okay?
I can swim. So, whatever. I'll just, if I got to haul the canoe to the side, then I got to haul. It's not for lakes or anything like that. It's not like I'd ever be so far from land. But I bet I could get into it from in the water.
Oh, you probably could. Especially yours is just wide.
It's
enough.
very wide.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't need that skill. This was the first time I ever launched a canoe from a creekside, though.
Oh, you weren't from a dock?
Yeah, the first time I did it from a dock. It was super easy. It was hop in.
You tied it off on both
paddle
ends
off.
and
Yeah.
you sat down in it, and you could reach the tie offs from where you sit.
Yeah, doing it from a wild creek side is that's weird because you got to settle just enough in the water that you'll be able to paddle it off of the land that you're on, and then you're slipping in the mud and shit because it's muddy this time of year.
Hell yeah!
Oh man, and that mud stinks, friends. That mud does not smell nice.
Clay smells. That's what makes it smell.
And
clay
rot
mud.
and algae because it's the water's all green around here from algae and stuff. So I got it in the water all right. And I turned and I went, I'm smart. See, what happened one time, Corey, I went on the bicycle. Go ahead. I saw that look in your eye when I said I'm smart.
I just was going to ask you if your arm hurt. I'm amazing.
It's not so much that I'm amazing. It's that I've done stuff like this before. I used to be an avid bicyclist. And one day, I remember I had this little speedometer. And one day I was bicycling, right? And I went to Bushnell's Basin. And I went 21 miles an hour on a bicycle the whole way there. I was like, man, I'm cooking. I'm perfectly capable of hitting almost 30 on a bicycle, but not for miles, not for a length of time at all. I can get there. But I did 21 miles an hour the whole way there. thought I was the king of the world. Turned around, yeah, it was windy as fuck. I went 9 miles an hour the whole way back from Bushnell's Basin to Henrietta. That's a tiring ride. So I learned a lesson about paying attention to the current, whether it's air or we can apply it to water. So I went against the current when I launched.
Well, no matter what you do in this, game of which you're playing with Mother Nature, you're going to have to go both ways.
Right. You are going to have to go both ways, but you want to start, I think, going against it.
I agree with that.
And
so when you get tired, you can just ride it back a little bit.
Or worse than getting tired, what if you get pushed past a place you couldn't swim or you couldn't paddle out of? Fuck. Now what? now you better get to the land and hoof it.
Waterfall!
Or that. So I went upstream for a little while, right? And it went, it was going pretty good. But then I hit the bottom, I scraped a little bit, and it kind of bugged me out. So I turned around and went,
Whoa.
We're looking at...
That was my butt.
Yeah, we're looking at about 10, 15 minutes in. And I just wanted to make sure, everything was
Did he crack the bottom?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're pretty sturdy.
They are. They have to be. People run them into shit all the time. You have to run them into shit. So I turned around, and it took me it took me about 15 minutes to get to where I turned around. Yeah, I was back to my truck in 4 minutes going with the current.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Paddle straight, ride. Paddle straight, ride.
So I was I know I didn't just drive all the way out here to paddle around for 20 minutes. So I turned back around and made it further upstream, and I went for probably about 45 minutes upstream, and there was a bend that I really wanted to get around, but the water was getting kind of choppy and rolly. So I'm paddling and I'm paddling. I'm I know I got to speed up for this, and I'm paddling and I'm paddling harder and harder and harder.
Suddenly I'm not going anywhere.
But I wasn't speeding up at all. In fact, I was slowing down. It got to a point where all I could do was stay in place. I was well,
hey, guess what?
I guess this is as far as she goes.
Yeah, well, you do it a couple more times, and I bet you can get it further.
Oh, I'm sure.
As you get more fluid with your motions.
Plus, the water's not going to be going that fast for much longer. It's only because of the runoff and shit like that.
I wanted to get a kayak, and I think I might do it this coming up spring this next year.
I recommend it.
Because I don't have the funds until, my Oprah money comes in. My Ofra money comes in.
Yeah. It's dude, I followed 2 deer for a little while. It was dope.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool, man.
I had the good fortune to go to your aunt and uncle's cabin.
Yeah.
And
up at Black Lake there? Yeah, that's a nice place to go. That's where I kayaked the first time.
Well, that's what made me want to get a kayak, is if you go up to the one channel there where you got to go real slow because it's super shallow.
Yeah.
It's freaking gorgeous.
That's a long way to kayak from where their cabin is.
Well, yeah, I don't think you'd start there. I think you truck up somewhere over there.
You toss a boat a line and have them tow you there.
Or truck up there somewhere and start at the beginning of that small, thin, shallow waters there.
Yeah.
The no-wake waters.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Listeners don't, but sucks for them.
I try to describe it nicely.
Go up to Black Lake. It's a beautiful place. It's 4 hours away.
Yeah, it's a freaking drive, but it's worth it.
Totally worth it.
So that was the place that really wanted me to, really made me start thinking of getting a kayak. And then in Avon, there's a little park, or not Avon, Lakeville. There's a little park,
Vitelli Park.
Yes.
We went there this weekend. We went the day I went on my kayak. We went for a walk there.
Oh, there's a nice little launch point right there.
Yep.
On the walk around site.
Yeah.
Across from the
There
playground.
are several places.
It's a nice smooth way to get out into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another place maybe wants to do it.
Oh.
So I'll get one next year. We'll go do it.
So getting out of the water.
Ooh.
This I knew was going to be a challenge because I'd never had to do it before, and I don't really know. I got an idea how it's done, but having an idea how to fly a plane and having to fly a plane are two different things, and it's scaled down for kayaks a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
So I made a pass at coming back downstream, coming with the current.
I like how this started with I made a pass.
I made a pass at the spot. I picked a spot. I was all right, that's where I'm going to try to nose into, and I knew that I wasn't actually trying this time, but I wanted to kind of skirt up into it and just see how it was going to handle getting up there.
All right, you had a test run, I guess?
Yeah, exactly, a test run. because I've never had to land
Taking it on an old test drive.
like we're looking at like a 4-foot mud bank, a 4-foot wide spot that I've got to hit with my kayak that I've never used before.
Yeah.
And I'm in a current that I'm not accustomed to. So I took my pass, missed, went out, turned around and tried again, coming against the current. Yeah, no fucking way that was going to happen. Against the current, not the way to try to nose your kayak up onto the mud. So,
Yeah, no.
third try was the charm. Nosed her right up there, got right out. Realized in the future I'm going to tie my kayak to me because it's difficult to scale muddy surfaces with one hand holding a kayak. And you don't want to let it go because they're expensive. And like I said before, I don't like swimming in wild water. It creeps me out. It really does, man. I don't like it.
Within a fish! Oh, shit!
I mean, you might say that kayaking.
What? That's right. What?
You might say that kayaking is the wrong thing for me to get into if I don't like swimming in wild water. And
It might be.
only if I get, if I fall out of the kayak, then it's a problem. But until that happens, I'm good, dude. I'm in a kayak.
Stacy took up kayaking. He's at the high school pool, just splashing during adult swim. Just standing in one place.
I think you just wrote the season 3 theme song. Well, Stacy took up kayaking. He's at the high school gym, paddling and splashing while Corey laughs at him.
Well, we have an insert verse now for the new theme song.
Well, folks, that's been your first break for the night. We will catch you on the other side. Corey, did you have anything else?
Yes, coming up very soon, you'll have the very special announcement for the third annual Mel's Clam Bake,
Ooh, the third annual Mel's Clam Bake.
which will be our second time there.
That will be your second time there. It will be my dirty firstie.
Ooh, sexy.
Yeah.
And we are going to freaking get crazy up in here. Crazy.
Oh, I'm going to
Up
lose
in
my
here.
cool up in here.
Drinking games, rock and roll, plenty of booze.
That's right,
Barbecued food. Delicious. There's even an outdoor potty for the ladies.
And the Air Rec Radio drinking games, good news, are going to feature Hideaway Brewery beer. Because Corey had the terrific idea that I should brew beer for the clam bake.
Yes. So we'll be introducing the new Air Rec Radio branded beer.
Yeah. It's going to be the standard mixed berry light with a business card stapled to it. How do you staple a business card to a bottle? Stay
and find
tuned and
out.
find out.
Welcome to Second Prince, podcast about comic books, pop culture, and other general.
Whatever, who cares?
Now I gotta finish it.
Bullshit.
We're on the 2013 final ballot best local podcast. You know, Air Rec was talking shit about us the other day
On Twitter or on their show?
on their show.
What were they saying?
They're like, everyone, they do a really good job in their podcast, but let me put this nicely. Fuck them, vote for us. And I loved it. And then they said they were going to throw empty beer bottles at us.
Yeah, RochesterCityNewspaper.com. Second Prince Podcast. We're the first one in that category to vote for. So vote for us.
Yeah.
And, I like Stacy and Corey, but they can both take a nut.
Yeah. Don't fucking throw beer bottles at me, you
Yeah.
assholes.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
Vote for us.
Yeah. But check out their show, because it's a good show.
I've got a special place on my balls for each of them guys.
Now we're taking it way farther than they did. They were just going to be like, fuck those guys, and I'm going to throw some beer bottles at you.
Oh.
Now we're like getting real bad.
Sorry.
Sorry, Air Rec Radio. Check them out, airrecradio.com. They're a great show.
It's a great show. Not the best in Rochester. though, 'cause
No,
it's
it's
obviously
way
us.
not. Definitely not.
Thank you for listening to Eric Radio and holding through break from a little word from our fellow ROC podcast family.
We love our ROC podcast family.
Yes, absolutely. Where you can find all sorts of wonderful quality content and something for everyone ROCpodcast.com.
New shows being added regularly, including shows like IRL Noobs, the Paul Townsley TARDIS show.
Something along those lines. I didn't know where you were going.
I couldn't, man, I don't know the names of the new shows. I'm
and
sorry.
coming soon.
New shows, I'm sorry. I don't know your names. But you know what show I do know the name of?
Coming
Something to talk about.
All right. And where else can they hear something to talk about? At least the pilot episode.
Well, they can certainly find the pilot episode. In fact, they should have already found it in their Stitcher feeds.
iTunes.
Or on
the
iTunes.
website.
You can find it at our Airrec Radio. That's the pirate version. Our Airrec Radio. No, that's not true, folks. I'm making that up. You can find it at airrecradio.com. That's something to talk about. This week, Tammy and I talked about minimum wage. Funny story, Corey.
Somehow I doubt that. Go on.
That's a terrific segue into our next segment.
Isn't it, though?
It is.
Oh, this is the part where I'm supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my turn to do it.
It is. Or I would have done it, and it would have been well fitted.
It's time for headline news.
Headline news.
Why, Corey, that's right.
Oh, that is fulfilling.
It is time for headline news. Tonight in the headlines, I have a fun little story about stuff.
About things.
This is from Al Jazeera America, america.aljazeera.com.
Well, terrorist network. They're stuffing their media into our ear holes.
Oh, I wish you hadn't said that, but I'm glad you did. So now I'm going to address the issue. I know it sounds Muslim, and that's because it is Muslim, but it's not anti-American. It just happens to be from the place where Muslims are from.
Terrorist news live on our shores. I get it. I got it.
It's a
commie pinko pastors.
It's a wow. it's a great place to find untainted by American money news. Now, some of the news could be tainted by oil money. I don't know. I can't tell the difference between oil money and American money.
But I promise you it'll be no more religiously leaned than Fox News.
Usually less. I find that Al Jazeera really does do a very nice, balanced job of presenting the news.
If they actually said that, they'd get sued from Fox for stealing their tagline. Al Jazeera,
oh yeah,
fair
and balanced. Yeah, that's what Fox News is. Whatever. Last January, it was revealed that Steve Jobs had contacted Google's Eric Schmidt along with the managers of dozens of tech firms, including Adobe, Intel, Lucasfilm, and Comcast, in order to fix industry wages. These executives were acting to protect their and their shareholders' interests by refusing to employ each other's company's engineers, a commodity in short supply in Silicon Valley's tight labor market, where in 2012 engineers averaged over $100,000 a year. That's a lot to most Americans, but it was kept below what it could have been. The result for millions of tech workers was a telling lack of mobility in a growing industry. So, what's going on here is that all the big tech guys were like, hey, don't hire my engineers and I won't hire yours. And then they won't have anywhere good to go, and we can just freeze their wages at $100,000 a year, and we'll be free to make kabillions.
See, I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
I felt it.
I never say kabillions without going,
all right, fair enough. Damn, didn't last week we say Bill Gates was one of the good ones?
We did. This is actually about Steve Jobs, who is one of the dead ones.
Oh, I thought he was a Gates.
He's the best kind of kabillionaire.
The dead kind.
Yes.
Somebody already ate him.
What?
Eat the rich.
Oh. I thought that was like something. I thought there was something going on there.
There's some hippie
Somebody
commune.
dug up Steve Jobs and ate him? That's a great idea.
They put him in their acid and tripped almost as much as he did.
The logic behind such tightly controlled terms of employment is hardly new in the history of American business. Removing employees' leverage in the firm is a proven management strategy, and it's profitable. In the first 5 years of the Silicon Valley Agreement, Google's earnings per share increased by 640%. By 2000,
What?
640%. By 2010, Apple was the 8th most profitable company in the world.
A percent means dollars, right?
Uh,
$647, right?
No. 640% is like,
Jesus.
you know, if it was worth $1, then 640 is the percent.
Oh, Bitcoin.
But if it was worth $2, then 1,280 was the percent.
2 Bitcoins.
And if it was worth $3,
We're not doing this.
It's
Stop. Stop count.
okay.
This is not Sesame Street.
All right. Fine. Folks, Corey says you're on your own. If you really want to know what it would be worth, if it was worth $3, you're going to have to do the math or Google search it yourself. Funny story. When cajillionaires companies make cajillions of dollars, they fix their employment prospects for their engineers, the people who do like the designing of the things and making
the people
of
that
the
do all the
things to
work.
work.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Freeze them at about $100,000. Now, I know that $100,000 sounds like a pretty good... It certainly sounds like I'd be happy with $100,000, but not if I was making $100,000. You see, if I was making $100,000, I would think $200,000 sounds pretty fair.
And it depends where you live.
In
very
Silicon
much-
Valley, $100,000 is probably not terrific. And again,
not.
I'm not saying it's bad, but
Not saying
this
it's
is
good either.
This is how we
you already
crush
used that joke.
the middle wage, the middle
class.
middle class. Thank you. This is how we crush the middle class. We have the super duper up toppies, rock star in their way to controlling 99% of the world's wealth by crushing the people that do the work that makes them the money.
That sounds familiar. Like every job I've ever had.
Can you believe a guy that wore the same outfit every day was actually an evil genius? Good job. You got the dog going. The story goes on to say, but for Apple and Google's engineers, who had little choice but to accept what they were offered, the situation could not have been so liberating. That's a weird way to say was not liberating. Could not have been so liberating. How about wasn't so liberating?
It does seem like a lot of words for fuck you.
Could not have been so, the situation could not have been so liberating. That's not how you say a sentence. Semicolon. There's a reason why this kind of
Semicolon. That's appropriate.
I was being dramatic. There's a reason why this kind of collusion is illegal. Today's tech workers could take a lesson from Jobs and the history of American corporate management he embodies on the power of coordination. If engineers seek a greater voice in their projects, in their firms, and especially in their pay, the only people they can rely on will be themselves. That's actually a pretty good paragraph when you get through the terrible written second sentence. Engineers should do what Steve Jobs did. Quit the giant firm and go start their own firm, and then they'll be billionaires too, instead of just waiting for somebody else to make them cajillionaires.
Unless the 6 firms that hold 40 engineers, all 40 quit and go to make their own firm, how many of those are going to actually last? But it would be fun.
I don't know.
It would be fun to watch the 6 big guys get stuck without any engineers because they wouldn't hire each other's engineers and they all quit.
Yeah. That would be.
That would be fun.
I would really
to
enjoy watching that on like low-tech phones because nobody was making the good high-tech one.
But the salary for engineers would skyrocket.
Well, until those engineers realized that they could call themselves CEOs, and then they could stick their engineers at $100,000.
Well, not everybody who's good at engineering things is good at running a company, I'm sure.
No, that's true.
I'm sure there's a bunch of weirdos in cubicles going click, 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 click.
Steve Jobs was an engineer, and he's certainly...
Okay.
And Eric Schmidt, I think, too, from Google.
Okay. I'm going to guess 10% of engineers are capable. And that's just a guess.
Oh, that's an all right guess. I would accept that. But I would say that in the tech industry, I'd bet there's a high percentage of former engineer CEOs.
Probably, I would believe that.
Right. So the ones that do it good.
Oh, yeah, engineers do it good.
Yeah, they're good at math.
And things.
They're smart.
I wonder if they're better at podcasting.
That's stupid.
This is terrible.
Yep. Moving on in the news.
Oh, is it up to me now?
Yes.
Let's do Deca Arm.
Oh, good. A story we've done before.
This is called an update. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
I am. I'm
but
very excited
sometimes you
about
call
actually.
back to things.
I'm super excited about actually following through with a story. I mean, it's been like, I don't know. When did we do the Deca Arm?
It has
had
to
to be
been at
about
least
6 to 8 months ago.
Somewhere in that range.
The Deca Arm was a super awesome story we did about a robot arm that was capable of playing the acoustic guitar while attached to a man with only one human arm.
A robot arm capable of picking up delicate objects has been approved for use by U.S. medical authorities. The Deca Arm has fingers that can move much like real ones, making it easier for amputees to feed themselves, zip up clothes, and unlock doors.
Amputees missing a hand or arm, not like a foot. They don't have a hard time doing their zippers up.
Fair enough.
It just
It's
says
a
it
fair
says
point.
amputees. I just want to be sure we're all on the same page. We're not
It's a
talking about people
very
missing
fair
an
point.
ear. We're talking
And I
about people
was
missing an arm.
Just about to compliment that this one was pretty well written.
Ha! Dashed it.
Which makes sense because it's BBC.
Yes.
The arm has a much greater range of movement than existing devices, many of which are based around metal hooks or designs more than 100 years of age.
Could you read this in a Cockney accent now that we know that it's from the BBC?
I can't do accents.
No.
No, not at all.
Me neither.
The only accent I can really do is Rochester.
Yeah. We're going to Gates Pub.
Well, you got a pretty good Boston. It's not great, but it's okay. U.S. Army veterans helped to test and refine the prosthetic limb. The arm was developed with $40 million, or 24 million pounds, of research cash provided by the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA.
24 million pounds of what?
Silly British money.
It's funny that their money is called pounds, but they use kilograms.
That money was part of a larger $100 million revolutionizing prosthetics research project run by DARPA that aimed to radically improve the range of robot limbs available to those who have lost upper limbs. It's all just a big plan to try to develop, bionic super soldier limbs.
Terminators.
Yeah, there you go.
Terminators
Step
and
one.
Cylons.
Step one. While prosthetics have improved in recent years, much of the development work has been done on legs rather than replacements for lost arms and hands.
That's because I think it's the things we do with legs are much more mechanically simple than the things we do with hands. Things like play musical instruments. There's not one single. Oh, I take it back. There is two single musical instruments you play with your feet: a hi-hat and a bass drum.
And I've seen what's the long Hindu guitar?
A sitar?
I've seen people play those with their feet, like on a fair.
Oh, like those weird yogis?
Yeah.
I don't think the Ranger is going to like this yogi.
This is because of the formidable engineering challenges of reproducing the coordinated movements of human hands and fingers.
Duh, news story. I just said that.
Plus, I think it might be a little bit of a step one thing. Like, okay, let's say you lost a leg and a hand. Let's get you walking, then we'll get you picking stuff up.
I bet it's hard to be a pothead with one hand.
It's got to be terrible. You vaporize everything, I guess. See, problem solved.
I guess you
Moving
must
on.
have to vaporize everything. How do you break it up? Well, I guess you can.
Yeah, I can break it up. All right, whatever. We're not getting into that. No.
I can't. I don't know anything about this.
So they're throwing the U.S. government's throwing some more money behind the Deca Arm.
No, hold on. No. You're introducing a middleman that doesn't actually exist.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're
throwing
some more
money. Well, actually, our caretakers are
elected representatives.
bastard.
Horse.
They're taking money from
Paid to
us
perform.
and using it for this. And I'm not. This is a good. Actually, I like this one.
This is a
This
good one.
good
This
use.
is a good one.
I'm good. This is much better than drones, which is coming up in the news.
Ooh. There's even some chitter chatter. We watched some video of the last time that we did the story about how there's some advances in the mental control of the Deca arm and how it's getting.
Oh yeah, they can read They can make your brain can make it work like Luke Skywalker.
Exactly, with precision like a real human hand.
Yeah, and you can feel things with these things now. You can get tactile response.
I heard it's a form of tactile response was not quite the same thing as feeling.
You can pick up an egg or a cinder block.
Yeah, because you can understand pressure.
Yeah,
or feelings. Yeah.
From not having a hand to that's a pretty big jump.
That's a big jump.
I hope I never have to find that out.
I wonder if you could snatch a drone out of the sky with your Deca arm if you got good enough with it.
I don't know, but if you could snatch a drone out of the sky, I'll tell you where it would be a good
with
place.
Segway.
If you were in Yemen over the weekend with a Deca arm, you could have tried. Here's a news story you're not going to hear about on the normal news. You'll never guess, Corey, where it came from.
Al Jazeera?
Al Jazeera.
Huh.
There's
Their goddamn terrorist network is polluting the minds of our youth.
A drone strike in eastern Yemen has killed at least 5 people in the first such raid since the army launched an offensive against al-Qaeda-linked fighters last month. The pilotless aircraft targeted a vehicle carrying al-Qaeda members near Al-Hussein, a village in Marib province, one tribal source told the the Associated Foreign Press News Agency, the AFP. The United States, drum roll, please. Oh, we don't have a drum roll. Is the only country operating drones over Yemen.
I could have a drum roll if you'd let me have sound effects.
But U.S. officials rarely acknowledge the covert drone program. It threw me off because they spell it with the E at the M.
Ooh, fancy foreign people.
Yeah, foreign spellings and stuff.
And things. God, it's not America, this stupid terrorist network.
I think it's silly to say the U.S. officials rarely acknowledge the covert program. It's covert.
Thus, no acknowledgement.
No.
Kind of how that works, guys.
I'm not saying it's right, but it's there. So if it's going to be there but not really there, you kind of got to not talk about it a
I
whole
don't
bunch.
see it.
Which is why you didn't hear about this in the news.
Well, no, we heard it on Al Jazeera.
You had to hear about it in the foreign news.
Or on a podcast.
The U.S. has used a drone to kill 4 more people. Hooray! We've killed terrorists, maybe.
Hooray! Guiltless murder.
Or by using remote control airplanes to kill 4 Al-Qaeda members, whatever that even means anymore. We've probably created 400 new Al-Qaeda recruits. Hooray! The good news is they used themselves up quickly, but still.
Allah Akbar. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong one.
By using themselves up quickly, what I really mean is by not decreasing in number over the course of a decade-long war with the world's mightiest military power. We should just really stop blowing these people up, and they should stop. I don't know what they're doing anymore. I honestly don't even know if they're like wrong or if this is all about oil and money. I just don't even know. But I don't care. Killing people is not okay.
I still stand behind the fact that somehow there are like 3 people sitting at a table that money is not even the game. Oh, now I'm Stacy. The game is just straight up moving the pawns from one way to the other.
Could be.
I really stand behind that. So all what they did, what we do, and what they do, it's all just people at the very, very top of a mountain kicking sand down into the fucking people underneath their faces.
That might be true, but I don't think they think about it like I don't know if that's their point, like if that's their goal is to just control everything, or if they just do it inadvertently by blundering through greedy things over and over again. I don't know. I'm not a
Mine was much more Illuminati.
I'm not
And I
a
think I
thank
like
you
mine better.
Illuminati. I'm not a very big Illuminati proponent or whatever I would have to be
Secret society.
Yeah, I'm not real into that because I don't think it's a secret.
The
I
Masons
think
are running everything.
I think they're pretty out in the open about what kind of evil bastardy shit they do.
It's all about the VFW. They're the behind-the-scenes controllers.
Okay, the VFW.
It's all about your local moose club running the government from the waist down.
All right. On an upside, this actually...
I thought we were talking politics. There aren't upsides.
Yemen's army launched a major offensive for my birthday on April 29th against strongholds of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula.
Aww. Missiles just for Stacy.
I know.
It's so sweet.
It's so,
They're so thoughtful.
I mean, boy, all I really wanted was just a bloody massacre. I mean, you know, you're going to have that, I guess. Apparently, that's the way the world works these days.
And
is
maybe
somewhere.
a handy. I could use a handy at the end of the massacre.
Did
It
you-
just helps me unwind.
Did you know that there was any kind of specific
No
military strife going on in Yemen right now?
No clue.
No?
Wasn't paying attention.
Did you know that an aircraft crashed and disappeared off the face of the earth a month and a half ago?
Yes.
And-
yes, I did know that.
And did you hear about it this week?
No. Well,
Really?
actually, I did.
Come
I heard
on, not one story.
I read a news story about
right.
how, in the wake of that flight, they're introducing new technology that
And-
allow free global tracking of aircraft.
Did you know that an Asian cruise liner flipped over and killed a bunch of kids, apparently, that were on a high school trip because that's who's on cruise liners? Did you know about that?
That I did not know.
It was all over the news. Fine. You didn't know it. But everybody else did. I promise you're the only one. Did you know that a man that owns a bunch of black guys is a racist? I mean, I'm sorry. He doesn't actually own the black guys. He just pays them enough money that they're
It was
not
a
really
fun
going
use-
anywhere.
It was a fun use of verbiage there, Stace.
He certainly owns a basketball team and doesn't like black. Did you know that? What's not all in the news is that there's apparently military action going on in Yemen now. Hooray! We get to be tied up somewhere else. And we're killing people with drones some more. That's good too. It's good because those missiles that they use to blow up 4 terrorists, do you know how much those missiles cost?
At least $17.
You know?
Perhaps more than that.
I think it might be just a little more than that. Each one of those missiles that they use to kill terrorists,
Not $17?
I don't know what kind of missiles they use. So we're just going to settle on a Tomahawk cruise missile because that sounds pretty popular. I'm sure that's not what they're using on drones, but
Sounds lethal.
whatever. I know
Who
we
cares?
paid for a lot of them. Each one of those things, according to the Wikipedia about it, costs $1.4 million.
Individually?
Yeah.
Can you buy it like a pack of crayons?
Yes. They come. They
Alright.
even have them in like the big wrappers for missiles.
One says cyan on it.
That's how Crayola has managed to stay in business so long. We've subsidized their missile labeling system.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Some nice kickback money under the table a little bit. There's little slides.
Firing fuchsia.
Firing fuchsia.
Well, that's the name of this episode.
Destruction dark purple.
So that's a very expensive way. However much one of the drone missiles costs, let's just assume that it's probably less than
Yeah, they're smaller.
a cruise missile, but that's a very expensive way to kill 4 people. And how much did killing these 4 people win for freedom?
But, Stacy, no young American lives were lost.
No, that's true. That is a good thing. You know how else we can not lose American lives? We can bring our American lives home.
Wait a minute. What you're saying is we could save lives by not fucking with other people's business? America!
Well, it's not just other people's business. This is a global society. It is our business too, but it's not like so much our business that we need to. For example,
We could have left fault by just not doing it? Communism.
what did we gain by killing these 4 people? Like, I don't know who these 4 people were. So maybe they were like the next bin Laden. I don't know. Maybe all 4 of them was the next bin Laden. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe there are 4 brothers on the way to a soccer match.
Maybe that too. I equally don't know. I don't know that as much as I don't know that they were super evil people. Like there's no mention about who these people were. I don't know.
You know what I mean? How would you even be able to know that?
I would
you have to trust the man.
I would have to trust the news to tell me.
Yeah.
And I just wish the news would tell me something. Who were these 4 people? Maybe if we ever made it through more than 2 paragraphs in a sentence, in a story, we would find out. Unfortunately, not in this story. This is a short one. They don't ever say who the targets were, ever. Unless they're like top dog, like unless it's something you can really hang on your wall. They don't ever tell you who it was. They're just like, that looks like Al-Qaeda down there. Oh, yeah, they're definitely flying the Al-Qaeda flag. Weapons free.
Speaking of America patrolling the world.
Hooray!
Hurrah, huzzah.
We should spend more money patrolling the world.
Patrolling the world, both the physical and digital.
Is it weird that the word petroleum has the word patrol in it?
I think it's coincidental, but that's the same thing as far as I'm concerned.
There are no coincidences.
Very
Especially not when you think 3 people are running the world. Jesus Christ, Corey. How about a little consistency?
That's not what you get from me. I think we touched on this before, too. I'm doing all follow-up stories. But this is an important one for podcasting.
Let's hear it.
FCC to remove fast lanes, quote-unquote, from the net neutrality proposal. And what that is that the neutrality proposal, as it stood, allowed ISPs, internet service providers, to allocate what websites were put in a fast lane of service and what websites were put in a slow lane of service.
We definitely did do this story about 2 months ago when they net neutrality. Not this particular. This is a follow-up.
This
Again.
is a follow-up. Wow. I'm telling you, that's what I'm doing. I'm
We're
bringing
like-
it all around.
We're
Bring
like
it back.
journalists or something.
Whoa.
Well, all
slow
right.
it down.
I mean, by journalists, I mean podcasters, I guess.
I said as filthy as a word as an American ear can hear just an hour ago. So I wouldn't call me a journalist just yet. It's funny how offensive in this country it is that I'm like hesitant to even say it when I'm trying to be a little,
Yeah, it's funny that
edgy. But in other countries, they just throw it around like it's the friggin' Tuesdays.
it's strange to me that a word like cunt can be more offensive than the idea of 4 dead people who were killed by a fucking remote control airplane.
Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome for saying that.
All right.
Continue.
Ooh. Now we're just getting dirty about it, and you kind of make me feel, warm and fuzzy in my
Well,
no-no
man,
place.
I said continue. It means carry on, my wayward
Oh.
son. There'll be peace when you are done.
And now we have song lyrics. Well, that's the end of our show, Dong. It appears...
That's a good song. I'll play that on the break.
Why don't you hum it underneath the news story?
I
I don't know the humming. No, I'm pretty sure that's... I'm pretty sure that's just a cappella.
I thought you were going to do the story over top.
But I couldn't focus, man. It was too
Carry
much
on,
pressure.
you will always remember.
It appears that the major public backlash in response to the FCC's proposed net neutrality rules hasn't fallen on deaf ears. According to a report by the Wall Street Journal, Tom Wheeler will in fact be revising his proposal. Again.
Who's Tom Wheeler?
Let's head of the FCC. Or works for the FCC at least. I want to stop here and interject that again was inappropriate use.
That was in the story. You said it like it was you.
I kind of did. It was in the story, and I feel that it was inappropriate use in this story. It's a snide remark. Keep your opinions to yourself.
This is an editorial.
I don't care.
Oh, okay. Well, then fine, I guess. If you don't care about the rules, you're free to bitch about them.
I just don't think it's a very fair way to put that.
Well, it is. Okay, whatever. Fine.
Whatever. To ensure that companies cannot segregate web traffic into fast and slow lanes. The previous set of rules had come under fire for allowing broadband providers to strike deals with content providers like Netflix, HBO, Cinemax, etc., to ensure speedier download times for their users, a provision that would make it all but impossible to succeed for smaller companies unable to pay off providers.
So what you're saying is essentially that your HBO or Netflix or Hulu or something like that would all work great, but your airwreckradio.com would be even more defunct than it usually is.
Yes, it would be buried.
Could you imagine?
No, not really. It's pretty terrible as it is.
Ugh. I mean, the beautiful thing is that, like, when you go to airwreckradio.com, you can hear our podcast at the peak of its quality.
And several others.
And also a couple others.
And several others. In the new draft, Mr. Wheeler is sticking to the same basic approach, but will include language that would make clear that the FCC will scrutinize the deals to make sure that broadband providers don't unfairly put non-paying companies' content at a disadvantage, according to an agency official. What's more, the new draft will invite comments regarding broadband status as a public utility.
I like that.
The FCC has yet to classify it as such.
The fixie?
Yeah.
The fixie.
Has yet to classify it as such, but if it did, broadband internet would fall into the same category as landlines, subjecting it to significantly stronger regulations. Sincerely your love, The Wall Street Journal.
It's a very nice sign-off, Corey. Very excellent. That's how they should finish their stories. So, I think that broadband internet should be a utility.
I agree.
But I don't know about adding regulation. And I don't know about taking regulation. I don't know enough about it to know about adding or taking away. But I feel like it's working pretty good now.
I'm not sure it is adding regulation if you roll something into regulation that already exists. Technology changed, so we kind of had to add it a little bit.
Right.
Like, telephone works great, too. And a lot of that, and the reason why it's so fairly priced, is because of the government regulations, because it was out of control 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
With the telephone companies.
Yes.
Out of control. A lot of that was government regulation settling that down. So maybe, just maybe, making internet a public utility like this might allow it to kind of be opened up to just a full internet for everybody for the same price kind of thing. Like, pretty much anybody can get a phone line for like $15 or whatever the going price is. But they all work with the same amount of efficiency. Your phone doesn't work worse than the rich person phone does.
Disagree. My phone's a piece of shit. But if a rich person had my same phone, their phone would also be a piece of shit.
I'm not really talking about your cell phone, I'm talking about landlines.
Oh, I don't know anything about landlines.
Cell phones
for a
aren't really
decade.
public utility, I don't know. As a landline would be, in my opinion.
Well, they work with broadband, don't they? So that would fall under the...
Maybe it get pulled in. I don't know. I don't know that. The only reason I say that landline should be, and maybe not necessarily cellular phones, is landline should be able to be provided at a very affordable cost for emergency purposes.
Fuck landlines. That's what I say.
Yeah, but my grandmother should still be able to have a landline called 911.
Nope. Fuck landlines.
And my grandma.
This is a strange reversal of roles altogether.
Isn't it?
Here you are, your free market ass is saying some government supervision is good, and I'm saying fuck a service. That's very backwards of us.
It really is. I'm uncomfortable. I've got the heebie-jeebies.
There's nothing wrong with landlines as long as like we can keep them reasonable.
But there
super duper, super duper reasonable.
But there is something wrong about capitalism affecting your ability to use the internet, the tool of the future.
Well, it already does though, because you have to be able to afford it.
And you're right.
And you should have to be,
but again,
I'm a little up in the air on this one because I kind of think it should be like,
it sucks.
It should be something your taxes pay for, but I don't mean that I want more taxes to pay for it. I just kind of want to stop spending $1.4 million on every single cruise missile we don't fire.
Relating to the landline, I don't necessarily think that your taxes should pay for landlines, but if it's $15 for a month for a landline,
yeah.
I think that's a very fair thing. And if the internet were the same way, where it was like, okay, now everybody gets it for like $30-$40 a month, and you get the same internet, everybody's got the same maximum full-speed internet instead of buying packages and levels and all this horse shit.
$15 a month is exceptionally appropriate if we go to a higher minimum wage, which is already happening.
well, then I would imagine that price would go up because that's what happens when.
I don't see,
minimum wage
because I
goes
don't
up.
think that one would, because I don't think there's anybody working for minimum wage at the phone company.
And I wonder if maybe a little bit of government regulation would prevent it from it. Whatever. Anyways, I'm willing to put a nail on that one.
Which one? The minimum wage or the...
My FCC one. We can move very smoothly into the minimum wage.
Folks, a reminder, this week's Something to Talk About, episode 1, is about minimum wage.
Ooh, see how goddamn smooth that is?
For more on minimum
Ooh.
wage, please go to airrecradio.com and listen to episode 1 of Something to Talk About. Or sit right here and hear another news story about another thing.
Okay. Hey, I have another story, Stacy.
Terrific, Corey. I love more stories.
The moment of truth nears for a sleepy U.S. town on the cusp of spaceflight.
I, chance of all chances, also read this story and had it for the night. So this should be interesting. We're actually both going to know what a story's about, and it's not a follow-up.
That's fun. Truth or consequences? New Mexico.
Promise to repeat. I select that.
Fair enough.
Okay.
After passing the sign reading "Danger, Falling Aliens," New Mexico artist Roy Lohr and dog Yoda lead visitors to the spaceport. He is built in his backyard out of wine bottles and cement.
Which is pictured at the front of this article, and it is an awesome looking...
It is pretty cool.
Really, that's a cool wall he's got going on there.
And I hope he drank every single one of those bottles.
Well, me too.
So do I. I hope he started with bottle 1. It's no wonder the lanky 69-year-old embraces the real Spaceport America in his town's backyard. The world's first space base built expressly for commercial launches and soon to be the site of first space flights with Sir Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic.
Richard Branson is knighted?
Apparently.
He's knighted.
He is apparently knighted.
What a douche. Unless he's born into the title because he was from a long line of... I don't know if that's a hereditary title.
He should run himself upon a kniff for being a douche.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly correct. They bought a knighthood. All right, dude, I get it. You own a spaceship. Fine. Do you really have to be the astronaut, Sir Richard Branson?
He owns a spaceship. Let's just stop and address how really cool that is. You might be cool. He owns a spaceship. Cool. Is that only cool to nerds?
How the fuck come the American taxpayers don't own more spaceships?
Because the ones we build cost friggin' billions of dollars.
Because the ones we build aren't piloted by humans and they don't actually go into space and they carry a payload of deadly ordnance.
That shoot 4 people.
This is the only reason I selected that story. That and because it wasn't on the news. Was so that I could keep bringing it up and derailing us from other stories.
Quote, "It is hard for locals to realize the impact it is going to have, but it is slow coming, and this is a tiny little town," said Lohr. But he has no doubt that, quote, "things are happening." And said, quote,
What kind of things? News story.
The inaugural say it,
The inaugural
flight of the 6-passenger Spaceship Two should take place this year, carrying Branson from the 12,000-foot runway to the suborbital space. Suborbital space. Couple beers. They had a second break. Fucking back off.
You've had 2 beers.
Or 6.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Who's counting? You are, apparently.
Apparently. And I get to start again. Yes. New life. What up? The inaugural flight of the 6-passenger Spaceship Two should take place this year, carrying Branson from the 12,000-foot or 3.6-kilometer runway.
3.6 for those of us who are interested in what
I
that
say
number was.
3.6?
It sounded a little... I know that you said 3, but it sounded a little like 30, and I just wanted to be clear.
The 3.6-kilometer runway to suborbital...
How many...
I did it again. Suborbital space, 65 miles above the Earth.
I have a pertinent question.
Oh my God, no wonder I can't read. What?
Your question.
Are you in front?
Pick
the ugly
me.
one with the glasses.
Why 12,000 foot runway? They didn't call it a 100 meter runway? Why didn't they call it a 5.5 mile runway?
I think this is above sea level or something, because it would make sense that we're measuring from sea level.
No, it's a 12,000 foot runway. The facility has a 12,000 foot runway. Why wouldn't they call that in miles?
Oh, yeah, okay. I didn't read that laterally. I read that as the height of the runway to the orbit it was going to. You're probably absolutely correct. That's just not how I read it. I read it like
no, they're not talking about elevation,
not a length thing. Yeah,
they're talking about distance.
Yeah, that is a funny thing. Then
why did they call it 12,000 feet runway
when the next statistic they gave was in miles? 12,000 foot runway to 65 miles above the Earth. We should really move the third mic.
Yeah, I really want to.
Watch you pop around like a pigeon.
I really want to go into space on this thing. That
I kind of really do too.
Like the idea of being on a 1,200 or 12,000. See, this is why you don't call it by feet; you call it by miles. The idea of being on a 5 mile runway.
Why don't we go with the kilometers?
Sounds interesting because who knows what that means?
Oh God! Okay, fine. Stupid American.
I don't know what 3.6 kilometers,
these
kilometers.
Preaching their metric bullshit out of America.
I don't know what that means. I wish I did. Honestly, the metric system works better, but
Liberal faggots.
they didn't. Quote, as always, safety will ultimately call the shots, but right now I'm planning to go to space in 2014, Sir Branson wrote in an email this week. The first of 600 quote-unquote astronauts who have already paid $250,000 for the 2-hour-plus flight and some minutes of weightlessness should follow a month later. So Sir Branson, he's going to go privately first, which is, I guess, it's your spaceship, dude, so do what you want.
And how about I'm going to test pilot this thing, goddammit. Let's go on the first one. That's a little bit like leading your troops, as far as I'm concerned. That's being down on the floor.
This is my spaceship. I can do what I want.
Hey, wow, shit, we got another song right there.
No, that's a Miley Cyrus song. Oh. I'm not making any more words for that at all.
We could parody it.
We could. It's been done.
Several minutes of weightlessness. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to, a bunch of rich people, or at least well-to-do people.
I don't know. I would save up $250,000. By the time I have it, that'll be the cost of a ticket to Mars.
Yeah, exactly.
And it'll be a round trip.
Ooh, wow.
By the time I have $250,000 to spend on some shit like that, I'll be lucky if I'm not reborn as a cow.
Hopefully it's in India. Just saying.
If you're going to be a cow, it better be in India. Because you don't want to be a cow in America, man. That shit sucks.
You're going to have a short life expectancy, I'll tell you what. After 10 years of conception and construction at the state-run, taxpayer-funded, $212 million spaceport, the people of Truth or Consequences, population 6,500, are sensing a shift in confidence as the countdown nears.
To break away from the reading of the story, if we may.
Oh, we're not going to read the whole story because it is long.
It is a very long story. Basically, what's going on is the town thought this is stupid. We should not waste money and time on this spaceport.
A town named Truth or Consequences thought the spaceport was silly.
A Route 66 town who we've all seen cars. Route 66 is not what it used to be. That movie taught me that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I learned something from that one.
Hey, pull something from everything. Like my putt.
It turns out these people are coming around now that this thing's almost ready to launch. This is actually a terrific tax because, like, the people that are spending $250,000, well, you don't just go for a day to do that. You go for a week and you check out this cool space-themed town because they were already space-themed because of their proximity to
Nevada.
Nevada. the nuclear testing area, where like
More
all kinds
Area
of crazy
51 is more
UFO stuff,
specifically,
all sorts of happy horse shit. So now they're turning around and thinking, "Hey, I think this is going to work."
Yeah, there might have any legs to this thing here. This might create some jobs and some tourism.
It certainly beats
Wouldn't
the fuck
that
out
be
of.
fun?
Wouldn't you rather for $250,000? What else could you do for a vacation? You could probably do a lot.
You could probably do
It's
a
probably
lot.
a lot of vacations. You could probably go to Disneyland like 4 times.
What this means to me, is, with several minutes of weightlessness and all this, is that a bunch of fairly well-to-do people are going to save up. They're taking it to their families. We're going to go on a trip. We're going to go to vacation. We're going to get on the plane, and we're going to be all excited, and we're going to take the trip up there. And man, this seems to take a while. Man, it's been an hour.
How long is that? I don't think it's an hour to get up there.
All right. Well,
To get 65 miles in a spaceship?
well, it's a
No,
2-hour
65
long flight.
miles an hour straight
It
up.
is a
Oh,
2
it
hour
is a 2
plus
hours?
flight
Okay.
with minutes of weightlessness.
That's pretty cool, 2 hours, though. As long as you got a window seat. If you're in the aisle, that shit sucks. You're
Terrible.
like, all right, dude, they better have Mighty Ducks on. What's the in-flight movie today?
All right. And we're going to get to the weightlessness, and we're going to have 60% of this public is going to puke all over the
Hell yeah. Gravity fucking puke bubbles. Think
space
about
sickness.
that.
Yes.
But the ones that don't puke are going to be opening little champagne pouches and catching the champagne in their mouth. Little bubbles of champagne floating around the cabin.
And doing bikini photo shoots.
Yeah.
For
Sex
S-
stuff.
For SI.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
Can't
initially for Sports Illustrated, but
Yeah. Then for internet fapping material.
yeah. Didn't Sports Illustrated already do that?
Yeah.
On the dive plane, the one that goes up
Kate
and down?
Hudson, they did it on the Vomit Comet.
Yeah. How much
That
does
was
it
that
cost?
reference.
How much does it cost to fly on that?
It looks like it's about $5,000.
$5,000,
Five
huh?
G's, about 5 big ones.
That's significantly less than
About 5 smackaroos.
$250,000.
But you only get like 7 seconds, and it's not like you're riding in a seat. It's a fairly small plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a hollow plane without like.
And there's no. It's pretty small.
I guess there must
compared
be
to the
seats to
spaceship.
ride. Like
Yeah.
you must buckle in to something. Maybe the wall
for the 2
I don't
hours
know.
of gravity you have.
Hey, you know what's even cheaper than $5,000? Going to the fucking carnival and riding on that swirly spinny thing. That's really pretty similar. The centrifuge or whatever it's called. It's not called that, but that's what it is.
At the gyrosphere.
Yeah, sure, that one. Not that one. The one where you stick to the wall and it tilts up.
Oh, it's depending what fair you go to. It's got a million names. The UFO.
That's
whatever.
exactly. But we all know what I'm talking about.
I do now.
It's not
I
exa-
thought you meant the Tilt-A-Whirl to begin with.
No, it's not exactly the same, but whatever. It's not exactly $5,000 to do either.
That's also a fair point.
You know
This-
what?
No, go on.
Oh no, by all means.
Fair enough. Did
You know what?
I love you so much.
That one was on purpose.
I know. Did you have another news story?
No,
Then this sounds like a good time to take a break.
this sounds like 10 minutes past the good time to take a break.
Hey guys, it's Stacy from Air Rec Radio. A lot of times on this show, we scream and yell and piss and moan about getting out there and making a difference and getting your voice heard. And we've never really told you how to do that before. So here I am today to tell you how to get a hold of your senators for New York, Kristen Gillibrand and Chuck Schumer. For Kristen Gillibrand, you can send mail to 478 Russell Senate Office Building, Washington, D.C. 20510. Or you can call at 202-224-4451. If, like everybody else, you want to use the internet, www.gillibrand.senate.gov/contact.
Contact these people and tell them that you want them to quit their jobs.
We're going to need to tell them how to contact Chuck Schumer, too. 322 Hart Senate Office Building, Washington, D.C. 20510 to send Chuck Schumer a mail. Maybe some flowers. 202-224-6542 to give him a buzz. Or you can email him www.schumer.senate.gov/contact/contact_Chuck CFM.
Airwork Radio does not condone or endorse sending anything in the mail besides paper and pen.
That's a good point, yeah. Why would you send the pen?
Ink, I guess.
So that's been our PSA about how to get a hold, folks.
Hey folks, welcome back to Air Rec Radio. a quick reminder, check me out on Twitter. I am at AWR Stace Ghost. Check Corey out. He is at CPayRun. And
CPayRun.
check AirRec Radio out. We are, of course, at AirRec Radio.
That was predictable.
Which brings us to our next point. AirRec Radio is a local company. It's not actually a company, so it's not a terrific segue. But Corey and I have been talking a lot lately about buying local.
Local buying.
This is something that's very important, especially to people who work for local businesses. We both work for various car dealerships in the Rochester area, both of them locally owned by people who locally live here.
Absolutely.
Is there wage disparity? Yes.
Well,
yes, there is.
Welcome to America.
Yep. That's pretty much how it works. The owners make more money than they necessarily need to, and that's just the way it is. But lately, there's been an influx of national car companies, like car sales companies,
Global warehouse type companies.
like
yeah.
CarMax. You might have noticed.
I was going to try to stick away from
Oh,
that.
no, I'm going to say their fucking name. I'd say Walmart, too.
Fair
But
enough. Good
Walmart
point.
doesn't
Fair
sell
enough.
cars yet.
Good point.
But when they do,
They might
they'll
just
just
call
stick their
themselves-
billboard on CarMax because they already have the Walmart mentality going on.
They probably already just call them. They probably do. They probably own CarMax.
So places like this
CarMart.
seem like a great place to go and spend your money because it's going to be fast and cold and impersonal, and you're just going to go in there and sell your car whether you buy one or not. And then they're going to put it into their national pool, and their not locally owned company, that money's just going to get shipped out. So here's the thing.
You could also go to the huge guy.
Or Fusillo, another invasive species of car dealer.
Where's that money go? Arizona? Something like that?
It goes into some super uber millionaire's pocket who owns way more dealerships than I want to support.
And I know he doesn't live in Rochester.
Like, good for him. Good for him. He owns a lot of dealerships. That's good for him. He did it. Good for him. You're not getting my money. It's not happening. You know why? Because you've got enough, dude. I'm going to buy from somebody like Mark O'Connor, for example, who lives in Rochester, who has one dealership. I would even buy from Patrick's, who has been a Rochester company for billions of years. They've been... Thank you. You're right. They've been here forever. I'm not a Patrick. Like, you got to understand, these are just two that come to mind because they're the big Henrietta ones that have been there so long.
Pulling the GM crank anchor.
I would buy from a bunch of... There's a the Vision Group,
Dick-eyed Honda.
the Marketplace Group, the Genesee Valley Group, all of these places. Dick-eyed is another
3
local...
generations of
Yeah.
locally owned.
There are a lot of options to buy your cars locally. I don't care where you buy them locally, but fuck's sake, do your car buying business locally or you're going to regret it. Once CarMax and Fusillo and other multi-dealership, multi-state dealers, once they have the kind of employment clout that allows them to abuse their workers thoroughly, I bet they do. In fact, I bet CarMax already does.
I've heard they're terrible, terrible employers.
I've heard that they're terrible to do business with from the only person I know who's done business with them, and I completely agree.
I hear it on a fairly regular basis, but then again, they're across the street from me.
I find it super duper believable that CarMax is a poor employer. They're just so big. They'll get another one. It doesn't matter. You don't matter. You're just a number to a company like that. And you're never going to meet the owner.
And they don't want salesmen.
And your manager is never going to meet the owner.
Yeah, oh, no, certainly not.
And nobody meets the owner. This is a problem. This is a problem. Folks, if wage disparity means something to you, even if wage disparity doesn't mean anything to you, and you're like one of these people that's like, oh, I fucking hate Toyotas, buy American. Fuck buy American. You want to buy American? Buy a Toyota. That was actually built by Americans.
As opposed to the Chevy that was built in Mexico.
By Central Americans, and also
Close
by
enough.
Canadian Americans,
Close
and
enough.
also assembled by Americans. However, none of that money... When Mexicans build an American car at American companies, quote unquote American companies slap a "Made in America" tag on it. You got to understand that like they don't pay Mexican workers right. They pay them worse than they pay American workers, and they don't pay American workers right.
If you buy an AC Delco or a Mopar part, the box right on the front of the box it says "Made in America," and then when you open the box, the parts is made in China or made in Mexico.
Yeah, assembled in America.
Well, it's the box was made in America.
Oh, that could be too. Yeah.
That's what they do. The box is printed in the U.S.
Anyway, when it comes down to keeping your money local, it doesn't matter what kind of car you buy. If you're buying new, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you buy a Toyota or a Chevy. It matters where you buy your Toyota or Chevy. If you buy your Chevy from a local Chevy dealership, you're doing a good thing. If you buy a Toyota from a local Toyota dealership, you're doing a good thing. That's good purchasing. If you buy it from, for example, now I'm not associated with the Vision Group or the Fusillo Group, but if you buy a Hyundai from the Fusillo Group, all that money, except for whatever gets skimmed down to the bottom level to the salespeople and the managers and the overhead, all the profit from that sale, that goes out of state to some guy you're never going to meet, but he sure is going to be on TV yelling at you an awful lot. Mm-hmm. He just shows up on your TV, interrupts the show you were watching, and starts yelling about how fucking huge he is. Fuck your huge ass.
He is huge.
Nobody cares.
He's a gigantic pig of a human being.
Hey, you know who else is huge? Nike. Fuck them too. But that's a little besides the point.
All right. I like how there was like an out of left field swing on Nike. Where the fuck did that come from?
Nike is another disgusting company. However, there are very few local shoe
You know what?
makers.
Reebok and Adidas can kiss my left nut because the right one's safe for the old lady.
Reebok and Adidas could suck both my nuts. Honestly, the major shoe companies are gross. Gross. They're disgusting business ethic in shoe manufacturing.
You heard it here, folks. Buy from a shoemaker. Huh? What? No, that's not.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
Anyway, back to the point. If you buy a car from, say, Vision Hyundai, if you're buying a Hyundai and your choices are Fusillo or Vision, if you buy it from Vision, hey, the Vision guys live local. They're around here. They shop at Wegmans just like you do.
Whether you buy Vision Hyundai or you buy Vision Ford, you're going to be supporting your local economy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for summing that up with a single dealer group that has both American and foreign cars.
Yes.
That I'm not here to endorse specifically any one dealership, but there are some dealerships out there who might do a good business, but they're just too big. We don't need car dealerships turning into Walmart. Do we really, really want corporate car dealerships? No.
Yeah, that's another one of those bastions of small business.
Yeah, it's like having a corporate bar. Gross. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going to TGI Fridays now and then, or Chili's, or Applebee's. That's the big one.
That was one you're looking for.
That's the one I was reaching for.
Baby,
There's nothing wrong with Applebee's. They have a terrific
menu
that tastes the same everywhere you go, and it's made with food that travels. The
same distance you did.
Well, all right, yeah. If you're traveling,
yes. See?
If that's what your point was, the lettuce served at Applebee's, for example, travels about 1,500 miles to get to your fork. Lettuce,
all that road grime.
Lettuce grows everywhere that it's temperate at all. You can grow lettuce almost everywhere in the U.S.
How about Mars?
Probably not on Mars unless you have a really nice terrarium.
Fair enough. Moving on.
It's going to be very inefficient to ship it from Mars.
Let's try.
Doesn't really approach the point of why
It'll
does
really
the
up
lettuce...
that mileage number, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it will. Why does the lettuce come from so far away? Why is that?
Because it's too expensive to
It comes
grow
from
local
California.
farms.
No, it's not. It's expensive to fund militaries to secure cheap oil to make it cheap to ship lettuce from California to New York, even though you can grow lettuce in New York.
Listen. My cousin's third brother-in-law's frat buddy owns like a giant farm in California. I mean, we're talking thousands of acres. He's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees. He said he'll cut us a deal. We'll get that like 5 cents off as long as we ship them. Psst, who cares if they're covered in pesticides and genetically modified lettuce, so they'd be bigger and greener looking
And longer lasting. I'm glad you said genetically modified. You and I have had a disagreement about what genetically modified means. I've come up with a term. I didn't come up with it, but I learned it. And
That'll satisfy.
It will better differentiate what we mean. Because when I say genetically modified, what I mean is like taking the genes from a tomato and figuring out how you can make better bacon. But we all know that genetically modified also means selecting
Forced evolution, yeah. Selective breeding.
for breeding. Yeah. Transgenics.
All right. I like it. I win.
That's
all right, good.
That's when you actively...
Transgenics. I like it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. See? That makes me happy. So happy. All right. I forgot where it was now because
I
you
know
were
you
with
did.
the transgenics.
I wanted that.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a good term
Cheap,
there.
it's cheaper to buy the transgenically affected lettuce from my buddy's cousin's third frat brother in California and ship it because it gives me such a good deal. Plus, even if I do break even, I'm cooking the kid a deal. You know what I mean? Little Tony's son is working hard over there. I'm going to cook him a deal.
But when you say cheaper, do you mean it's cheaper right now for just you? Or do you mean it's a better value because
For
it's
everyone?
not actively making you ill chronically?
Oh, see, clearly we're not on the same page here. Clearly I meant it's cheaper for my pocketbook right this very second.
So clearly your lettuce shipped 1,500 miles across the country is the modern capitalist lettuce. It's what you're going to have under modern capitalism is
And tomatoes and chicken and beef and everything
whatever
else.
maximizes price value right now. Never mind whatever health detriments it has to do when, like, your lettuce has been sprayed with DET, a known carcinogen that the Food and Drug Administration approved to spray on all of our vegetation.
It's
Hooray!
like, huzzah!
You got cheap lettuce and cancer for free. They threw the cancer in.
It's like the milk. I laugh. It says in the front of the milk, not from cows that have taken hormones or growth hormones. The cows didn't get growth hormone shots in their hindquarters. But what was in the corn you were feeding them?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, cows don't eat corn.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I mean,
part.
we make them eat corn. We do that all the time because it's cheaper to grow corn than it is grass for some stupid ass reason.
All right, sure.
Which makes no
I
fucking
think
sense at all.
What I think that is that we actually have a surplus from subsidizing all the
But
corn.
there you go. It's not actually a surplus. It's a subsidy
There you go.
that causes a surplus. It's not that we grow too much corn. No, it's our government actively takes the money from our pockets and applies it to subsidize big corn.
Well, we got to get our ethanol from somewhere, Stacy.
We don't use ethanol.
Oh,
Yeah, we don't. And even if we did, it's still not a great solution to that problem.
terrible. But what about all that high fructose corn syrup?
Yeah, about that.
Where are we going to get all that?
Why do we need all that?
Not sure.
You know what I was...
Oh, I know why. My money. I still
yeah.
want my money.
I still want a Coke for $1. That's what I want.
And I still want, as Coke, I still want to make billions of dollars.
Yes. And it's much cheaper to use high fructose corn syrup than actual sugar. Not that either one of these is a terrific choice. Folks, honestly, if you're thirsty, put a little lemon in the water.
Try some water.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm not saying don't drink soda. I'm not saying that. But I am saying don't primarily hydrate yourself on soda. That's not a good way to be as a human being. That's not... Have you ever seen a soda spring? No.
If you go 2 months drinking primarily water, and I mean extremely primarily water, 80%,
Yeah.
water.
It will change the way you feel.
You don't even need it. You don't even care about the soda anymore. You
No.
don't need the lemon. You don't need the lime.
No, I dropped off of sodas years ago, and I know you just did. And it's like every other habit. It's a tough habit to kick, but man,
It was harder than smoking.
you know what gets me about soda, especially now? I almost thought, like, on lunch today, I went to lunch, right? And I went to Wegmans, and I got a sushi to try out tonight, and I got a sub also. I got a half a sub, and I was thirsty, and I was like, man, I got a bottle of water sitting in my bench, but I want to get something. So I was like thinking about stopping at a gas station on my way back because I didn't get nothing at Wegmans. And I was like, you know what sucks? There is nothing local to buy to drink.
Well, that's a very good point.
Except for, like, upstate dairy's milk, I guess. But I don't really want to support upstate dairy for their, like, there's better milk options too, and I would rather find them and support them because I think that there's probably a better way.
But that's about the one thing local you can get water. But the water companies...
Yeah, but buy a bottle of water from Rochester.
Well,
Good
yeah,
luck with
no.
that. No, you're going to buy Poland Spring. Where's that come
water.
from? Nestle.
Poland Spring?
No, they just put a name on it. It comes from Nestle. It comes from the tap.
But Stacy, it says on the bottle that it comes from 4 different springs and it names them. And it says very convincingly.
Yippee yee ha! What the fuck does that mean? You know, like I don't get it. You know, I don't understand. Like, I don't drink tap water, people. I don't understand. I don't like. I do, I guess, but like you're trusting.
I don't prefer tap water because it's full of chlorine and fluoride.
I prefer water from one of those water things at
Like a Brita.
The thing that you stand at when you're the water cooler. I prefer the water from a water cooler.
That's good water.
But I don't like to buy water when there's perfectly potable water in every toilet. Not that I drink out of the toilet, but there
That's
sure
what
is.
it sure sounds like.
There sure is. You could.
You could.
I wouldn't. I don't endorse
Yes.
that at all. Especially not like a public toilet. Yuck.
That would be numbing. It's just like the bowl. Delicious.
Or not.
But
Anyway.
my biggest thing when I go to buy bottled water, I feel guilty about the bottle, not the water so much.
The bottle too.
I feel bad about the bottle.
Why the fuck don't people carry around a canteen?
It's hard. It's one more thing I gotta fucking carry around.
You know what we need? We need a canteen app on your iPhone.
Yeah, here we go.
That's what we
That'll
need.
work.
It could. I don't know.
so-
If you had like a 3D printer app also.
For hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah, it's already in the atmosphere. It
molecules.
just harvests it from the atmosphere, turns it into a cup of water. Ta-da! The future.
Didn't I do a story about harvesting water from the desert air on this show? Designed by Beatles. I'm a big fan of technology. And we might have skipped it.
No, we did not do that
Well,
story.
maybe I'll do it next week.
But I like it. You know what there's not locally? Deserts.
That is true.
You know what there is locally?
Farmland?
You know what grows on farmland?
Sassafras.
That's correct.
Thank you all for listening to Airwreck Radio for the almost a full over a year. We've done this wonderful podcast, and it has been awe-inspiring and life-changing. Thank you all so much. Thank ROCpodcast.com for allowing us to be part of their great big family. And stay tuned for more details about Mel's Clam Bake 2014 featuring Airwreck Radio.
On a last note,
On a featuring note,
on one final note, I did go this weekend to Vinny's late night comedy
oh yeah, that's right.
hoopla thing.
Yeah.
Fucking awesome, folks. Next time Vinny Paulino has one of those and I tell you to go to it, go to it.
How about they watch it on TV because it'll be on Channel 18,
or watch it on
broadcast
Channel
television.
18. The CBDWT.
The WBGT.
That's it. No, that's not it. Mm-mm.
No.
Channel 18, friends. Watch Channel 18. Catch Vinny Paulino's late night comedy hour thing and also his podcast show, Shoot to Thrill. I went to the comedy show. It was a packed room. The Lovin' Cup is an awesome place. Go there. Eat food there. It's terrific.
But most importantly, continue to support your local podcast.
It's late in the afternoon, the sun rising high. There's nothing to do around here, and if there was, well, I wouldn't try. Taking my comforts, taking good care of me. Sitting down in my easy chair, tell me something I can't even see. Well, I got the solution. How to deal with this insanity. Just sit down in my easy chair and take a big sip of my sassafras tea.
Folks, I'd like to take a quick second to just reiterate. Thank you, ROCpodcast.com. Thank you, Corey Payne, for putting this podcast together. Thank you for forming airrecradio.com and all the hard work you do. Thank you to our free music provider, whose name I am on.
Kevin McLeod, incomptech.org.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin McLeod, for all the free music we've boosted from you to use. Thank you to the Band of Brothers, who made this pretty little ditty that we're listening to right here.
And all our local band friends.
That's right.
Now wouldn't you know it? Oh, here come my neighbor Jim. He got the willies and the worries on his mind, and the weight of the world putting pressure on his spine. Well, I got the solution. Set him free. Set him down in my easy chair and give him a sip of my sassafras tea.